Yep. It's Bar Down Breakdown, and guess what? I think this is the most amount of people we've ever had on the show once into it because we have all of Glimmers. We've got all of the Glimmers. So really excited to have you guys. I guess real quick, for those of us that won't be watching this on the YouTube and that will be listening to it the way that you normally listen to podcasts, we'll just go around the horn, just introduce yourself, what you do in the band, and then we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I will start, I guess. My name is Maggie. I am the front woman / mom of the band, I feel. I also play keys. And yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having us. We bring the chaos, so get ready for that.
Love it.
I'm Jeremy. I play drums. I would say, I guess, band dad, captain of L ship. Yeah.
Cool. Ari.
Oh, hi. I'm Ari. I'm the bassist / weird uncle. Crazy stories.
And then one of these Alexes.
I'll go ahead.
There it is.
So I'm Alex Downtain. I play lead guitar for Glimmers. I think I'm the band dad.
We got two dads.
Two dads. Oh yeah.
Nothing wrong with two dads.
My socks are higher. My shorts are shorter.
Well, my shirt is super tucked in.
Damn, you got me.
Well, Alex
New Balances are clean.
I would say Alex is also an uncle dad. You know,
Uncle dad. All right, I like that.
I don't like that. That's cool.
Hi, I'm Alex Norrell, and I'm the awkward cousin that people really aren't excited to come to the family function.
I'm always excited.
Oh,
I'm always down,
True
dude.
at all.
I'm always ready.
Those are great introductions. I'm really all about it.
So wait, Tom, what are you of the podcast then?
Me? I'm the I don't know. I'm that like cousin that like comes by and like drinks all your unsweetened iced tea and then leave.
So we're hanging out later, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, our dynamic is interesting. I can call myself a co-host of this podcast, but like that's probably as far as I could stretch it because Mikey really does everything else. So like, and I'm not even that good of a co-host all the time. Like sometimes I don't show up on time. Sometimes my room isn't clean. At least you guys got sort of a clean room. I don't know. If you can
Dude,
see
and
like,
with this
cleaner,
many people, your little window's so small that you can't really see the true mess.
It's way cleaner than usual. We one of our good buddies in this great Canadian punk band called the Crease Rule have ripped into me many a times about the cleanliness of my room. It's become like an actual issue, but it's okay. Fun fact, I think I told Mikey this, but I'll tell everyone this. So my wife and I have been house hunting. We finally found a townhome,
Awesome.
and we put in an offer on it. It got accepted, so we're in the closing process now. Thank you very much. But when we move, I'm going to have like a little dedicated nook to podcasting, so I'll be able to finally put up my. I got like a bar down breakdown flag like you see Mikey has. I don't have anywhere to put it up, so I'll be able to put that up. I'm really excited. I'm very excited for becoming a semi-professional podcaster. But enough about me. So you guys are. Thank you very much. So you guys are from Atlanta, is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. So you guys are all Thrashers fans, obviously.
Of course.
Yes.
the winner.
Well, we were,
Jeremy-
you know.
Yeah, Jeremy
terrible
was
events
saying
happened when
we
Canada,
were
my homeland, decided to take them.
we were talking about the podcast a couple days ago, and Jeremy was saying that as a kid he went to Thrashers games.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
That was like it's weird because it's like a nostalgic sport for me because like going to hockey games was like the very first like professional games I've ever went to.
Oh, that's awesome.
We were going for a lot of them, but yeah, I was real young at the time, but it was just like such a good time though.
That's kind of wacky to hear, because I mean, like, the Braves have been around forever, the Falcons have been around forever.
Yeah.
The Hawks have been around forever. I mean, the Hawks haven't necessarily been the greatest, although they've kind of come into their own, but kind of cool to hear that some of the first professional sports that you did were Thrashers games. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Let's kind of just jump right into it here. So I guess the best way to do it is I'll kind of just direct questions to each of you, and you guys can kind of answer them. So first and foremost, I guess we'll start with Jeremy, the drummer up there. So if you could kind of give me a little bit of insight on kind of the genesis of Glimmers, and kind of what surrounded you guys becoming a band, and what influences kind of were built into some of the first pieces of music that you guys kind of championed here.
Oh wow, okay. So I guess how it kind of started, I was in a previous band that is from here in Atlanta, and we were doing a farewell show.
Okay.
And we had like a bunch of different friends come in and hop on the show.
Awesome.
And Maggie happened to be one of those people. And I didn't know her before we actually played the show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the singer had asked Maggie if she'd like to come in, play keys, and sing on some of the songs. So as that band, kind of died out, Maggie shortly after reached out to me and asked if I would like to, join up with her and, start something again.
Yeah,
So.
I was playing acoustic for a while, because I was playing out when I was 15 and 16 and super young, but I always wanted a band. I always wanted to have that experience of playing with friends and not just being the girl with the guitar.
Sure.
Because and you will see this probably soon, but when I perform, I just am out there with the crowd and really energetic, and it's hard to do that with an acoustic guitar strapped to you.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure.
So yes, the lovely Jeremy, I met him for this crazy final house party show, and I was like, hey, I am trying to make a band. Do you want to play drums? And so he was the first piece of the puzzle that eventually became Glimmers. So very
excellent.
And what's crazy about that story too is I was literally in talks with selling my drum kit at the time.
Oh,
wow. I was really almost ready to just kind of chill out, and focus on other things, and
sure.
So I was just let's just do it one last time. So
that's awesome.
I've been loving it ever since, so it's a lot
Excellent.
of fun. These are my best friends right here. So but
Very
I would
cool.
say
Yeah.
to finish the question as far as influences, I guess for some of the early stuff, obviously Maggie for the first two EPs, Maggie wrote, those songs with Alex, and for me, just as far as drums go, I've listened to R&B a lot,
Great.
growing up.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I just really super chill drums, but obviously when I grew up, I started getting into post-hardcore, so having a little heavy element,
Sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of where at least I gain my influences from.
Awesome. Yeah.
Tom asked the wrong question for you, Jeremy. It should have been about that sweet ass mustache, but
yeah,
boy.
Tom just is not a professional.
hail
He claims
mustache.
it, but how do you not ask about that beautiful thing?
It's
Oh, yeah.
Oh man,
it's hard to see the actual links with the lighting right now, but
you're giving the dude
Yeah,
from Tiny Moving Parts a run for his
oh,
money.
dude,
man.
I met him. Wild Bill, I met him.
Yeah. Wild Bill, man. Love that guy.
I'm gonna have to send you a photo of the stashes next to each other. He still blows me out of the water.
Yeah, his stash is crazy.
It's wild,
Awesome,
man.
Yeah.
Literally, I made a fan Instagram account for his mustache. So.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
We didn't tell him who was running it though. He did a whole PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was aggressive. Like he was film noir. There was like black and white cinematography. He was freaking it. It was
incredible. I apologize because fun story about Mikey. This one time he forced me to shave a mustache, like get rid of my whole beard and just have. Actually, I think you might have done it more times than one.
Yeah, it's usually like if we're gonna be at a bachelor party or something where we could just be ridiculous. It's like mustache
get into
time.
it.
Yeah, this one time I think you made me go to like a white trash party and I had to have a mustache. It was good. It was a good time.
I love that.
I mean, but
it wasn't. It was actually a hoedown, but we just interpreted it as white trash.
Yeah,
Hey,
we did the right thing there. That was a time. That was a fantastic time. So, yeah. So Maggie, I guess I'll kind of forward this to you, just because it seems like the band kind of developed around you being like kind of a singer songwriter, and then kind of moving into this direction. So. Knowing that like kind of the first, couple of songs or even the first couple of EPs were written by you and then fleshed out by everybody else. It's always a kind of a tough question to ask this, but I always like to get the perspective of people. What was it like when you finally had a band and like you had to kind of give those reins up?
Honestly, it feels really good.
Awesome.
So as they know, I'm a very type A person, and
Yes. Yes.
being a
yes.
That's why I'm the mom. It's why I'm a good mom, okay? But being a solo act for 5 or 6 years, like I got used to doing everything by myself, which can be good, and it's obviously great to be self-sufficient, but it can also be draining. Obviously, there are, skills in things like, for example, Alex Downtain, he's produced everything we've put out thus far.
Oh, awesome.
I don't produce anything. So
sure.
There are levels of expertise that I don't have in different areas. And so I'm not going to lie, when we kind of decided to start the band, which all of us wanted to do wholeheartedly, I was still nervous, because I had been in situations before. I love Tanya. Hi, Tanya. I've been in situations before where with other bandmates, it either didn't work out as much creatively or personally. And it's hard to find that perfect match.
Yeah.
But honestly, when we really started, working together on the music and the visuals and all of that, it makes my heart happy, to know that we're making all of this together and it's not just me anymore. So
yeah, no, I love to hear that, and that's a really that is like a kind of a tough thing, because again, when you are focusing on writing all of your own music, sometimes it can be kind of difficult to sort of take that constructive criticism and put it to use. But love hearing that you guys ended up making it work together as a band. So I guess let's even talk a little bit about that. And I guess, I'll kind of field this question to whomever might want to answer it. But so that first experience that you guys had, writing together, when it was, all of you guys in a room, creating something out of nothing versus, just building around, a finished song. What was that experience like for you guys? And I guess the question to kind of bounce off of that is not only what was that experience like for you guys, but what was it like to watch your band kind of travel into a different stratosphere, because now you had 5 minds collectively and 5 different influences coming into writing versus, just one with, the kind of branches, as they say,
Chaotic.
Was that song not going to
A
get
lot of
by?
cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like that song was not going to goodbyes though for us.
100%.
Yeah. That song, and that was the first single off of our second EP. That was the song that I, brought to the guys the skeleton of it.
Okay.
But I was like, I want to work on this all together. And Alex had already worked with me personally in the past, but I think that was like the first one that we all really collaborated on.
For sure.
But yeah, Alex, what you think?
I mean, 100%. You know, like the cool thing is about that one is me and Maggie actually worked on that one originally, just me and her, and it was a very different song. It was like way slow. It was not like this upbeat kind of like ballad by any means. And you know, when we all kind of did our thing together, we made it into what it is now. And that was just like really cool to like see the differences. And we actually like put out a little video talking about it, and we have some snippets of that audio on our YouTube if you guys want to see it. But yeah, it was just a really cool experience to finally get to work on everything, because everything prior to that was me and Maggie. There's also another engineer that I was working with in the studio. His name is Ben Humke. Totally love Ben, great guy. And yeah, goodest boy. But yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it, and I don't know. And at that time, I actually wasn't even in the band yet.
Yeah,
We weren't.
I was just recording Maggie at first before I was even in the project. So it's funny.
That's
how
awesome.
it works out.
Yeah, I think that's really such a great thing, and like I just love how, like, you know, when you start like seeing these collaborative efforts come to fruition, you know, it really takes, you know, like the creative muse that you have and moves it in a completely different direction. So love to hear that. So I want to go a little bit into the future and talk a little bit about Worlds Apart. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Worlds Apart is kind of the last, it's the newest body of work that you guys have done, that EP. Okay, awesome. So I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about the process of kind of recording that. I know you kind of touched upon it a little bit, you know, with Not Good at Goodbyes, but like, what was the process about getting that recorded and having kind of the, you know, opening up those like floodgates, as they say, you know, what was it like in the studio specifically? Was there a lot of writing done in the studio? Was there a lot of kind of like rounding out done in the studio? Or was it mostly like, okay, we've got these completed songs, we know what we want to do, and we're just going to put it all on wax?
Yeah. So it's interesting because most of these songs, I believe, besides Not Good at Goodbyes, were done or almost complete as we were rebranding to Glimmers.
Okay.
So it's weird to think about because I don't think about it that way.
I don't either.
Yeah,
it's wild.
It's crazy.
I didn't think about it until you said it. Yeah.
So both EPs originally were recorded, other than Not Good at Goodbyes, they were recorded, you know, all together, and it was originally going to be one album.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. And so when the pandemic happened, it was weird. We played a show March 11th, and it was under my solo name because we played a few shows just under Maggie Schneider. And then March 13th, everything went to hell. But we were FaceTiming each other every day, and we had already been talking about like rebranding, changing the name, making it more of a collective instead of just, you know, a solo artist with a backing band. And so we were lucky because the songs were pretty much ready already. So then we were like, okay, we're going to take this time, since we have the songs, especially for Worlds Apart, to make 5 music videos for each of the 5 songs on that EP.
Yeah.
Which was a huge undertaking in the pandemic, but I was
going to say, yeah,
but very happy we did that. We did that. We collaborated on the cover art together and how we wanted to package it all. And so we thought, you know, eventually these songs kind of work as 2 different entities. And we felt like Worlds Apart were a bit more, I guess, mature, I would say, than the first EP. So they still kind of showed a progression since we were working on the songs for such a long time.
Sure.
And so we thought, why not just have 2 EPs, and then the second one, we really kind of make it more of a concept with 5 videos and all of that. So yeah, luckily the songs were ready, but we like prepared everything else as we were rebranding.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So I guess my question is, who does the male vocals on Stay? Because I know Not Good at Goodbyes is that there's a feature. So who's doing the vocals on Stay?
Yeah, so a songwriter that I worked with for a while, his name's Alex Crane, another Alex. I know quite a few.
Oh, yeah.
So many Alexes.
Yeah. He
We're everywhere.
wrote 3 or 4 songs that we've put out. But he had a great voice, and so I was like, add some harmonies. And then we had Lost Body on Not Good at Goodbyes. And even for future stuff, Alex Norell is a lovely singer. So you'll be hearing his voice.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
So does he?
Thanks, Dad.
So Alex, do you take that role when you guys are performing live? Because I'm guessing Lost Body doesn't just like tour with you guys all the time.
Nah, for the last really since we came back as Glimmers after the pandemic, I've kind of taken over the backup vocal role. I've got the hardest job in the band. I have to try to keep up with Maggie Schneider, one of the best vocalists in Atlanta. And I also play guitar behind Alex Downtain, one of the best guitarists in Atlanta. So I got work. So I struggle my way through every show. I cry
You kill
every
it
day.
every night.
Yeah. Quit lying. We're live.
Hey, look, I mean, the kind of like the kind of thing that I think is so wonderful about, being surrounded by people who are really, really talented and great musicians is it kind of like I wouldn't say that it forces you to be better, but what it does is it gives you the perspective of what what's really important in a band, right? So I mean, looking at you guys, right? So I mean, you guys are a 5-piece. You've got a rhythm guitarist, a lead guitarist, you've got keys, you've got bass, you've got drums, and you've got harmonies upon harmonies and all of this kind of like extra like soundscape stuff, which is fantastic. But like the role, a lot of people just automatically assume that like a rhythm guitarist is just like, oh yeah, he's just going to play the power chords, right? But it's like, realistically, if you just have like a bunch of leads going on all at once, I mean, like, unless like you're a band like Circa Survive and you could just throw a bunch of delay on it and it just sounds like a bunch of nonsense happening behind you. It's like a lead needs a rhythm and a rhythm guitarist needs a lead guitar player. So it's just like, I always love to talk about that. And, when bands talk about a rhythm guitarist, everyone always assumes like, oh, he's the chord guy. He's a power chord guy.
No,
but it's like, but it's way more than that. Number one. And number two, especially when you get into like really cool chord phrasings and stuff like that, like you could be a quote unquote rhythm guitarist. But I mean, if you're extending harmonies and if you're adding 7ths and 9ths and 11ths and all this cool stuff, I mean, you can go from being like a punk band to like a band that has much more depth, right? So it's like that's what I always think about. So don't sell yourself short, man. You're doing the Lord's work out there, my friend.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The good one.
Keep saying more nice things about me. I like this. Yes. Maggie's ego's high enough. Talk nice about me.
Hey! No, I am very lucky. These guys are not only my best friends, but I'm inspired by them every day. So it means a lot to like be surrounded by such good people and musicians. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk to the rhythm section for a bit, because a lot of people always also forget how important your drum and bass is, because I mean, if you aren't locked in, you could do as much cool stuff as you want on guitars and keyboards and vocals, but you're still just gonna sound like a pile of what. So what I am kind of interested to know is, so we started with like Maggie writing songs on an acoustic guitar, and I mean it's like cerebral enough to think about, okay, she played a C chord here, the two guitarists are going to like riff on the C chord, right? But like now all of a sudden the both of you guys, Ari and Jeremy, could just take an entire song and just change it based on rhythmically how you're going to approach it, right? So when you guys were first figuring out how to flesh out these songs, what approach did you guys take? Like, did you guys kind of think more about playing it straight, or did you want to be a little bit more creative to kind of give the songs a little bit more depth? How did that work for you guys?
On my end,
you go ahead, Ari.
Oh, sorry. On my end, one of my favorite things is having an incredibly talented producer in the band, like dancing.
Yeah.
I will show up with like, here's my raw punk Blink-182 take on the song.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but what if like we did walks and what if we did this? And also like, dude, like we will start, like he will take the chord and be like, we should just not do that and do this instead. And it's always just pure gold. And so like it's like him and I will bounce back and forth. And
stop it, buddy. You're making me blush. Yeah, I mean, like we just work it out together. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And
yeah.
A lot of the time, I like to start with drums first.
Okay.
To get the vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and then work around it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the time, Maggie will just come in, you know, with some chords. She'll play acoustic or just some piano chords. You know, and then, you know, we'll just kind of like just branch off that and just see where it takes it. You know, I almost always write leads last too, after all the rhythm stuff's figured out.
Sure.
And Jeremy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, as far as like the songs go, like, you know, new and old, yeah, it's just whatever, you know, whatever like feels right. It's a little bit of both, as far as, you know, like staying in pocket and like, you know, getting weird with it, you know.
Yeah.
It's just
weird with it, babe.
Yeah, just whatever makes sense at the time, you know. There's a, you know, with 5 people and, you know, so many noises going on that, you know, it's just whatever feels right, you know. But you know, like I always, you know, go by the KISS rule too when it comes to like grooving. You know, keep it simple, stupid.
Absolutely.
You know, that always, you know, live, that feels good.
Yeah.
So
and it's kind of interesting, you know, that you talked about kind of your roots in like, you know, R&B and soul style drumming, which a lot of that you know, can get really complex, but it's all about being in the pocket. It's all about pocket, you know. And I mean, I you know, I've played drums since I'm like 8 years old, and that's one of the things that I learned, you know, going through school for music and all that kind of stuff, was the importance of being able to stick to a pocket. You know, it's just like I played in swing bands and big bands and you know, like in quartets and stuff like that. And I mean, like, you know, I hate to say it because like no one should ever be treated that way, but I mean, if you've ever seen what's that movie? Whiplash, yeah. I mean, like that's the importance of staying in the pocket. Now, like maybe
your anxiety.
No, it is. But I mean, like, but the truth of it is, it's like, you know, a drummer can really make or break an experience for a band. So, but I just like I said, I just love to hear, you know, all the collaboration and how the, you know, the songwriting has come across for you guys. So, one more question I have kind of about what's coming. So, you know, I do presume, like most bands, that, you know, you guys are out here writing. Are you guys like kind of presently writing for like a full length, or like kind of what's on the horizon for you guys?
Maggie?
Yes. So we, for the entire month of January, we're in the studio practically every day.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we were working from noon to 2 a.m., especially for the last 2 weeks of January, which was insane. But we have a few songs, and they're actually done as of this week.
Excellent.
So I'm very excited. I feel like they show our progression as a band, and even more so, even from Not Good at Goodbyes, we all collaborated even so much more than before. So it feels really good. So we're hoping that maybe late spring, summer-ish, you should hear more details about that.
Awesome.
But I'm very excited. Hopefully people will like the new stuff. But yeah, we're like presently thinking about the visuals and videos and all of that, which I love that stuff. So
awesome. Now, are you guys still kind of working in tandem with Common Ground?
Yes, so we
have
awesome. A management deal with Common Ground. So I love Britt. Shout out to her. She's known me since I was 15. which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But things happen for a reason. I kept up with her for years, and then when we started this rebranding process, reached back out to her and showed her the songs, and luckily she wanted to work with us.
Awesome. Love to hear that. So talk to me a little bit more, just because it kind of popped in my head and I didn't think to ask this, but talk to me a little bit about Atlanta and like what the Atlanta scene is like, just because, to be honest with you, I know very little about it. So I'd love to kind of know like the depth of like the pop punk scene. Is it strong? Is it not really strong? Is it more forward with other types of music? What is it like?
It's well defended.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, I like that.
Everybody here still hates their hometown.
I would say like Atlanta over the last 5 years has like really like become more of like a complete unit.
Yeah.
Like before that, at least like, you know, in previous bands, you know, it just seemed like everybody had their own specific genre and they had to only go to those shows, or they're like, you know,
For sure.
outliers or something, you know. But it's crazy. You know, like as of recently, it's just like you're seeing any and everybody, you know, everywhere, and it's like it's a beautiful thing. Like, it's really crazy how much of like it's turned on its axis, you know, over the last couple of years.
Post-pandemic, one of my favorite things is it's not just musicians going out to shows. There's just so many friends of friends of friends, and like they reach out to you through Facebook and they're just like, hey, like, is this happening? And it's like, it's the coolest experience.
I love that.
And like Atlanta is such like a diverse, like honestly, region. Because I mean, most people think of Atlanta and they think, you know, it's the rap hub of the South. Which yes, I'm sorry, we own y'all, but we do.
True.
Sorry, but like there's so many genres and like everybody's just so supportive. This is a very supportive town. Like it's like artists, like a lot of people just have the mindset of artists first, and you know, go support people. And it's just beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have really great venues here, and we're lucky because, you know, I saw a lot of venues in even, you know, I feel like bigger cities for pop punk like Chicago. I saw a lot of venues.
Like
like so many closed, and that breaks my heart.
Yep.
Because, you know, it's hard to be either an independent band or a band on a smaller label because you either have, you know, more DIY spaces, which are great, or you have like the big amphitheater arena type spaces.
Yep, absolutely.
And so we're lucky because we have the Masquerade, which is our home away from home. We have Center Stage, we have the Tabernacle, like so many different spots that give, you know, bigger bands, but also smaller bands the opportunity to open for bigger touring acts and to headline shows and all of that. So yeah, everything that the guy said is just a very united spot right now.
Love that. I had the pleasure of being able to get to the, I think it was the old Masquerade, because because the Masquerade, when did it officially like move? What year was that? Was that 2016? Yeah. So I believe that I was at the Wrecking Ball Fest that came just before they moved. And that was a hell of an experience, man. I mean, I got to see Piebald and the Promise Ring and like Thursday, and I mean, like,
that was absolutely awesome.
It was
Thursday. One of my favorite bands.
They truly are, and again, you know, just not to harp on it, but if you want to talk about like a drummer that is like all about pocket, man, you know, the drummer of Thursday, what was it, Tucker, I think is his name?
I believe I think
it's Tucker Rule, if I'm not mistaken, but that's another drummer who is all about just like holding down a pocket while all this, you know, crazy gnarly stuff is happening around him. But, you know, that weekend that I was in Atlanta, you know, I felt the love. It was a really cool thing. And it seemed like a lot of people, it kind of almost reminded me of, you know, I've gone to the fest in Gainesville probably more times than I can count. And it's that same kind of feeling that I got at Wrecking Ball, where everybody was just kind of all together to really kind of, you know, love all the music that brought them together and stuff. So I think that's such a wonderful thing. But I love to hear that Atlanta is kind of budding. Every time I talk to someone, from somewhere that isn't where I'm from, I always try to think, I'm like, what bands are from Atlanta? And the only one that I could think of is just Josh Scoggin in '68, just freaking out constantly. But I'm sure there's probably 50 bands that like you're gonna say,
we're just gonna say Cartel, even though
Cartel.
Cartel.
Issues is from here.
Oh, okay, all right.
Seven Dust.
Collective Soul.
Love Collective Soul.
Yeah.
Excellent. Speaking of Collective Soul,
Glimmers.
Glimmers. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Collective Soul was on one of the first NHL soundtracks that had like an actual soundtrack.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's we've talked about that ad nauseum. So I definitely do want to jump into a little bit of hockey talk, and we'll talk some more music and stuff. But before we do that, I have to read this ad read, not the red part, according to Mikey, which is great. So we're gonna talk a little bit about DraftKings, and I love DraftKings mostly because. Not just because they're an official sports betting partner of the NHL, but they give a lot of people an opportunity to kind of win these really cool prizes and get engaged into sports when they don't necessarily have every reason to, which is a great thing. So the NHL season, it's been packed with like crazy dirty dangles and hat tricks and all that crazy stuff. If you've been following along, all of these crazy trades, including one that got vetoed, which is incredible. But as the action rolls on, the DraftKings Sportsbook, which again is an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has your shot to win big too. And new customers can bet just $1 on any team and get $150 in free bets if they win. So a bump in the win column for your team means free bets for you, which is awesome. So if Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still have a shot to light the lamp. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contest. And DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code THPN. That's for the Hockey Podcast Network, THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. So again, that's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. And you do have to be 21 years or older. Restrictions do apply.
Well done, Tom.
Very nice.
Wow, man.
Wow. You did that like a
That's
pro.
it.
I'm getting better.
Stutter once. I am
I'm better.
Right.
You should write a book.
I would hire you on Fiverr.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Hell yeah.
Dirty Dangles.
Dirty Dangles.
What is okay? So I watch a lot of Letterkenny.
Yeah.
And, obviously they use like a lot of hockey talk.
Yeah,
but
sure.
they always say, dirty fucking dangles, boys. Like, what is that?
Stick handling.
So like a dangle is kind of like, so let's say you've got like a 2-on-1 heading towards the net, right? A dirty dangle would be if someone is stick handling and they like make a move on the puck and they kind of finesse it and then like move back and then move ahead again and just like completely throw it past like the goalie. Like you'd call that a dirty dangle, essentially, because you're dangling the puck essentially like on your stick in such a way that whatever defender is in front of you kind of gets their legs broken. It's almost like a really dirty. Yeah, it does sound pretty gross. You're right. It's like a really dirty crossover in the NBA. Yeah. It's kind of like getting your ankles broken sort of deal. That's what a dirty dangle is. But yeah, you learn it all. You learn dirty dangles. Snipes and sellies
what's your favorite phrase though? What like
my favorite phrase for me personally? I just love. Like top cheese. I just love top cheese.
Top of the net. Top of the net.
Yeah, top of the net.
Absolutely.
Top cheese. Or what was the old thing that they used to say where mama hides the cookies?
Well, we have like a historic just dynasty era announcer, and his catchphrase is the toy department.
Yeah.
He put it up in the toy department. He says it all the time.
Speaking of crazy shit, dude, there is I don't know where I found it. I think my boss showed it to me. Somebody took the time to go over like a full 3 periods of Doc Emmerich calling hockey, and there's like 70 different words that he used to describe a pass.
Oh,
Like-
he's a legend.
Like 70 different words. Like if I challenge you when you get an opportunity to go find this, he just uses like all these different words to just talk about a pass. Like, he finessed it, he haberdashed it, he did, and it's just like half of them don't make sense.
How many of these words did he come up with like himself? Are they actual words? Is he like Shakespeare?
No, so they're
he made his own thing.
They're actual words, but half of them don't mean what he like intended it to mean. Like for
gosh
sure.
darn it, he bageled it.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, like you're not far off. Like he hot potted it, like he neti potted it. Like it's just like, what are you talking about? But I mean, listen, like just even if you don't look up the list, just go to YouTube at some point in your life and just type in like Doc Emmerich hockey highlights, and you'll love hockey that much more just listening to this guy. Like
I just Googled it, and like the first thing that comes up is like hockey terms.
Yeah, that's it. He is like he is the one. He is.
I feel like there should be like an official hockey dictionary, and I looked up a few because I am trying to get into it because I don't know what's about it.
It's all good.
But I saw lip lettuce, and having Jeremy in the band, I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. I can't believe there's a hockey-esque term for mustache.
I
So good.
ask you a question.
Yeah, it's really a serious thing. Hockey culture is something else. It really is, at least in America. It is kind of the counterculture. I mean, we talk about it all the time on this podcast because that's kind of like what this podcast was built upon. Was built upon kind of the avenues that come between alternative music and hockey being the alternative sport. But but it's funny because once you get into Canada, the script is flipped. It's like in Canada, hockey is like what the NFL is like here. Yeah. Like when you think of like the NFL has like a very diverse network of fans, and there are great fans, there are not so great fans. But like when you think of like your football bros, right? Like, like your dudes that just like, are bare chested in 15-degree weather, just like, pouring beers on someone because they're wearing like another team's like jersey. Like there are NHL bros like that in Canada that like take on that same thing. But it's just a funny thing because it's all relative, and like where hockey here is, like I said, still probably your fourth sport, quote unquote, or even in some circles now that soccer is getting more and more prevalent, even the fifth sport. Yeah. But it's, but it lends itself to being kind of counterculture. Excuse me, So I think that's a cool thing about it. So on that note, in terms of kind of talking a little shop here, I'd kind of love to hear, even if like you're not like a super fan or anything like that, we don't need super fans to be on this show, but realistically, I'd love to kind of just go around the horn and just talk about, like maybe your first experience with hockey, or, maybe like one that was very memorable for you, or maybe even, like an experience you had, not maybe going to a hockey game, but like seeing a game on television or playing a hockey video game or something like that. I guess we'll start with, who do we want to start with? I'm looking around.
I'll start.
Yeah, let's start. Yeah, okay. I'm about to say
I'll
down
start
to
it.
me. Let's do it.
Dude,
Love
like,
it.
okay. So like one of my first things I remember like about hockey ever was Wayne Gretzky for the Nintendo 64.
That's the one. That's
tore
the
that
one.
game up. I absolutely loved it because
That's the one.
Dude, it's so good because like out of nowhere you've got a health bar and you're just ready to just like Mortal Kombat some people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so good. I just remember playing that so much.
Same.
And because of that, it actually led to me going to a Thrashers game.
Oh,
you know
that's
what I mean?
awesome.
You know what I mean? When I was younger, and just that's like just totally like my first real experience with like getting into the sport. I don't even know how old I was. I was pretty young.
And I got to tell you, I think that's a perfect thing because there are so many people that are in like Mikey and I's age group. We're probably a little older than you guys. We're in our mid-30s, but there are people that specifically like cite those early NHL games on like Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
To getting them into hockey. And like I'm one of those people. Like I've said it so many times. The only reason I knew anything about West Coast hockey when I was like 9 or 10 was from playing NHL 96 and NHL 97 and like being the Colorado Avalanche or being the Vancouver Canucks.
Dude, absolutely.
The only reason I knew any of them because I was 10 years old. Like there wasn't a chance I was going to be allowed to stay up.
Everything.
That's so much information.
But you couldn't. But also, you weren't allowed to stay up. At 10:30 and watch the Islanders play the Ducks or watch the Islanders play the Kings. Your mom would be like, "No, go to bed, idiot." Like that's kind of like just how it would go. But yeah, no, I love that, and we had the pleasure of having Steve and Sibel from EA. Who actually cultivated all of the soundtracks for all the NHL games. That was like an unreal conversation because their whole goal, right, as hockey fans and music fans, where they were like, okay, we know what we have here in hockey. We know that it's, a counterculture. What we want to do is we want to make sure that there are a bunch of bands that, people may not have heard of that get this playtime. And when I tell you, like, if you look at some of those NHL soundtracks, some of these bands were like just on the precipice of like breaking in. And being on these soundtracks helped them. And total bangers. I mean, like...
Dude, bangers across the board.
Oh, yeah. And, like, not just Collective Soul, man. Not just Collective Soul. Dude,
Absolutely. A lot of sports games, like, as a whole, just has always just had, like, top-tier soundtrack.
Yeah.
And you could thank
like Tony
Steve
Hawk,
and Sibel.
Yep.
Tony Hawk's game had a great soundtrack.
Tony Hawk Underground 2
might even the
one
best.
of the best soundtracks of all time.
It's like the most house party quote ever, though. Like, was this on Skate 2?
Yeah.
I don't like the song. It wasn't on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Bye.
My Tony Hawk experience, and I say this all the time, is one of my favorite songs is May 16 by Lagwagon. One of my favorite songs. And I listened to that song so much by playing Tony Hawk that when I would listen to it on the record, I would like in my head hear the countdown beeps happening when they weren't happening. And I can tell you exactly in No Cigar by Millencolin where the beeps came. Like I could tell you, it was just as they transitioned like into the bridge into the final chorus, and like as soon as it's like, and I don't care, and it just beeps, and I will never not hear those beeps at like 1 minute and 55 seconds of that song. But transformative, man. I mean that soundtrack, like between that and like getting my hands on Punk-O-Rama CDs when I was 13 or 14, like that's why I'm into this music. 100%.
Absolutely. Like that song for you, my song was When Worlds Collide.
Oh, Power Man 5000.
Dude,
yeah. Okay.
Right? I think that was in the third one. I don't think it was in the second one. But like
not sure, but yeah.
Like just changed my life. I thought that song was a banger.
So good. So good. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to Alex number 2, Norel. You're first of all, we talked about this before we started to record, but since we are on video, show off your jersey, bro.
Okay, hold on.
Hopefully you have pants on.
Hopefully.
Actually, if you don't have pants on, that's cool.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's it. Old school Gladiators jersey.
Sure is.
Old school Gladiators jersey. The only hockey game I ever went to in person. It was on a date. Didn't go well. But
bummer.
Don't worry about that. But it was such a great time, and I don't know. It was really cool being able to experience it like in real life. But hockey for me has always been interesting because when I was a kid, I was obsessed. Like I am the most randomly unathletic, but very unathletic gentleman. I have my sports. Nobody cares about them. Thumb wrestling isn't that cool. But I was when I was a kid, I was obsessed with the Mighty Ducks. In particular, the Mighty Ducks 2. Gordon Bombay took Team USA to go fight Iceland.
Absolutely.
Queen was playing throughout that soundtrack. What were the damn songs? We Will Rock You.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that was like I watched that Mighty Ducks 2 like on repeat from years I think 4 to 8.
Oh yeah.
And I was always so jealous of everybody who got to live like up where it gets actually cold, as opposed to in the South where, you know, when it gets cold, we just stop wearing shorts. But like y'all actually had like frozen lakes and stuff to go ski on. We had experienced our first frozen lake actually on tour a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
All 5 of us very scaredly like trudged ourselves out onto a lake. And all of our moms got very mad and told us to go off.
Yeah.
But
You just need to drive a limo out, like in Mighty Ducks 1.
drive a limo out, and then Charlie's mom is going to come out there and threaten to murder you. You know? Come on,
But
Bombay.
the whole
What are you
premise of
doing?
the movie, like the whole premise of the movie, as like an adult, and you think back on it, is just so ridiculous. Like,
Oh, it
this
totally
random lawyer guy gets a DWI, and then he's like in charge of a youth hockey team. Like,
Yes,
Hey,
that's
it
Mr.
seems legit,
Ducksworth.
right?
Mr.
Yeah, right.
Ducksworth.
Yeah, right.
No,
and then there's just like the creepy limo guy that's just always around, and just
Not
like
the limo guy, man.
I mean, here, I'll do my impression of him. You know, like, where's my candy? Like, I just love those. The third one was a bit lacking. Let's be honest here. I can't remember the guy's name who played Bombay, but he obviously didn't want to sign up for the third one.
No.
But yeah. But now between like the Mighty Ducks movies and like the Sandlot, I thought I was going to be the greatest athlete
Sandlot.
ever. The Sandlot. Let's be honest. Oh God.
Love it.
But and also when I was a kid, my mom was very sweet and she would buy me very crappy toys because she knew I'd break them. And I had a hockey set that I would play with in my driveway.
Yep.
And I hurt myself.
Yep.
But so I always I never got a chance to play hockey, but I always wanted to. But yeah, that's my big attachment to it.
Love it.
It was like, you know, like Land Before Time when you were a kid hockey.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's not talk about
100%.
Land Before Time. We don't need to cry.
All right, Jeremy, you're up, bud.
All right. So I'm going back to fights.
Okay. Love it.
I relate like hockey, I guess, a little bit to NASCAR. I apologize if that offends anybody, but like, you know how people watch NASCAR for the wrecks? Like, I love to watch hockey for the fights.
For the
Because
fights.
I remember one of the games I went to as a kid, one of the Thrashers got thrown up against the plexiglass, and I just remember like we were sitting like very close to where he got shoved into the wall, and just like instantly gloves were off, stick is down, and they just started swinging on each other. And like at the time I was terrified, but it like kind of stuck with me. And like even like it's crazy because we were talking about the games, and like I didn't even know I had this memory still. But on Easter one year, I remember I woke up so upset because like we used to like get gifts for each other. And one year, the only gift I wanted was whatever hockey game was out on PlayStation 1 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I didn't get it, and I was so upset about it because I just wanted to like get on there and fight somebody, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I don't know. I really love the fights on it. You know, it's really good. It's a lot of fun. I wish I got to play, you know, when I was a kid. Like I was big into football.
Sure.
I played for 7 years, and
Oh wow, awesome.
I think our closest rink from where I lived was about 2 hours north. You know, just to like practice or something, you know. So
Sure.
that just didn't work out. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. The culture of hockey fights is something kind of lore. Like it's you know, like a lot of it is like, you know, you've got like a star player on the ice, and there are people that are specifically on the ice to protect them, you know?
Yes.
So like that's kind of like where that comes from. But a lot of times, like sometimes, like, you know, when they occasionally put mics on the guys on the ice, like it'll almost be like a friendly, seemingly like innocuous exchange before they fight. Like it's just two people will like skate by one another, and they'll just be like, "You want to go?" And the other guy will be like, "Yeah." And then they just start beating the piss out of each other.
Yeah.
And then usually, unless there's like really bad blood, after it's done, they're both like, Great fight, bud.
All right.
Like
Man,
that's it, man. Like
yeah, it was crazy. So the last game I watched, we were actually in the studio. It was the end of January. It was the Blackhawks versus I think the Cyclones. That's Orlando, right?
The Lightning. Yeah, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah. And I guess Chicago's star player. He was on the field and somebody came up. I think it was like a backwards check and just like completely flattened him.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then so the Lightning had to go into the ice box, right? And he just like the look on his face, he was just like deadpan. He was just like, man, I'm about to get the shit kicked out of me. But it was like, I don't think there was even a fight that game, but I was just like waiting for it. I was like, sounds like
a Patty Maroon move to me, huh?
Right.
What would you say? Yeah, probably, right? Awesome. All right. Ari, man.
What's up? Okay.
Drop some love on me, man. What do you got?
Okay, so my first ever hockey experience was actually kind of a little bit of a weird one.
Okay.
So I grew up in Los Angeles, so like a lot of people are Los Angeles Kings fans.
Absolutely.
But so about fourth grade, if you know anything about me, I'm perpetually late to things, and this is not changing.
Yes.
Yes.
But I was late to bringing my permission slip for sex education. And when you are late to bringing your permission slip, they put you in a random room with a substitute teacher. The substitute teacher was a massive Kings fan. And so he thought it was a great idea to get a bunch of 12-year-olds to watch hockey. And which was awesome. But
that is great.
But it was awesome because I remember specifically what was so cool about that was you guys were talking about fights. I don't remember the player's name, but he got bodied, and it was like a good 2 or 3 meters of just face on ice body. And it was bloody, and there were zoom-ins, and we're like 12, and we're just like, yeah! And I remember from that moment on, there's a fondness to it, not because of just the fighting, but I guess the rawness about it. It's a very down to earth sport, and it's it's
just
fast.
real.
It moves fast, and
Yeah.
I think that's probably where I come from with that.
So I've just realized that I failed because I was a substitute teacher for 3 years before I got my full-time teaching gig. And I totally should have just been making these kids watch hockey fights.
The entire time.
You will
They
like
loved
it. Totally missed opportunity.
Call it School of Rock, but for hockey.
Yeah, right.
Nailed
So
to the boards.
what I want to know is is this a thing? I don't remember us in high school needing permission slips for sex ed. Is that a thing?
That is a thing.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here. So your parents had to give permission for you to be taught sex education?
So I think when you're in middle school up, you don't have to. But if you're still in elementary school, you still need that permission slip.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could understand that.
I don't, but
see, I don't want to get into political machinations and all that kind of stuff here, but but I mean, the fuck you need a permission slip to be taught sex education? That's you need to be taught that.
Mandatory. Yeah,
it's crazy. I don't know. That's wild to me. But anyways, I didn't have to go through that, and our health teacher did this thing where the first day to get all of the laughs out, she had the entire class go up to the chalkboard, or maybe it was a whiteboard. I think it was a chalkboard, and write any possible word that you could think of for penis or vagina.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I would be there forever.
This
I would
is our
honestly,
favorite pastime.
It was a shit show. It was a shit show because everyone tried to outdo themselves and try to think of the dirtiest word they could think of.
Yeah.
So what words went up there? I'm not going to say them, but you can use your imagination. But there were creative ones that got up there,
hot dog warmer.
Hot dog warmer.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
or
I remember that one specifically.
Whoa!
It's a dog!
What boy is that?
What
dude, that's a hot dog.
That's a hot dog.
Speaking of hot dogs.
Listen, anytime there's a good boy involved, I'm all for it. But that was something. But cool. So Maggie Schneider, you're last. So let's hear it.
Man, okay, so I am probably the one who knows the least amount about hockey.
And that's okay.
I will say that both hockey and roller derby are two sports that have always interested me.
Oh yeah.
Because like they're so cathartic to watch. Like going back to what Jeremy said, and even Ari, like it's a weird mix of like entertaining and like you want to watch it, but it's also like, oh my god, like there's so much happening. Do I cry? Do I laugh? Do I cheer? I don't know. But kind of taking it to a more recent story, when we were recording, Alex Downtank, he has a TV in his studio. And so while I was doing vocals, which made it a very fun time, them and a few friends turned on a hockey game. I can't remember what teams were playing, but it was back in January. And as I was recording, like after every take, I heard screams or cheers from the studio, and I was feeling left out. I'm like, I can't watch it. I don't have a window. But I think it's always been cool. And you know, unfortunately, I was never an athletic kid. I had one ice skating lesson. I cried, never went back. Tried horseback riding, not great at that either. But my dad is a football coach, and he's been interested in a bunch of sports. You know, I'm a basketball fan. My mom is a UNC Tar Heel, as am I. But yeah, I think it's really cool. And I think going back to kind of the scene itself, there are so many similarities to hockey and the alternative scene, because I feel like it's a very supportive group of fans, if that makes sense. Like I get that vibe from all of my friends who are really, really big hockey fans.
Love that. Absolutely. And it is a great community, or I should say it can be. Unfortunately, there are parts of the community that are kind of still in the past, and there are parts of the community that are not as tolerant and not as accepting. You know, that's the kind of stuff that, you know, the more realistic hockey fans are trying to kind of move away from. And like I said, you know, I don't mean to disparage anybody, but like hockey can come from a culture that is more affluent and is more white. Just in general. And unfortunately, with that comes that sense of entitlement and sense of, you know, shying away from inclusion and a lot of things that really hurt the sport and just overall hurt the fan base. But, you know, the NHL, you know, definitely probably needs to do a little bit better, but they are making strides to make hockey more inclusive for everyone, which is an important thing, right? Because I mean, you know, like at the end of the day, you know, if you're not represented, you know, it's kind of hard to, you know, take all that in and feel like you're a part of something. Right. So, you know, especially people that are, you know, non-binary and people that are, you know, people of color and, you know, people that typically aren't represented as in broad strokes in hockey. You know, there needs to be a little bit more of that. And, you know, there are people that are bringing light to it, you know, specifically, you know, there's a goalie, his name is Robin Lehner, who, you know, is outspoken to the nth degree about mental health and mental wellness in hockey. You know, something that, you know, it's always been like a good old boy kind of thing where it's like, you don't talk about that. And like, you're hurt and, you know, you got to get out there on the ice and you don't take care of yourself. And it's these types of things that they're trying to move past. But in general, I would agree with you. Yes, I think hockey is a very tight contingent. But as we grow as people and a country, and as we grow, you know, these changes are going to come, and it's going to make, you know, hockey more inclusive for everyone. So I think that's a really important thing. So yeah, I love that. So I would probably give you guys a little bit of homework, and that homework would simply be, and super easy, just go watch some hockey. There's a little bit of it, you know, just go watch a little bit of it. And you know what? And truthfully, you know, if it's one of those things where like you're watching it and you're like, man, my head hurts. This ice is so white. These people are moving so fast and I just don't get it. Turn the hockey off, you know, like that. The wonderful thing about it is that, you know, if you love watching it for the aggression and the fights, watch it for that. If you love watching it for the pageantry, watch it for that. Or if you simply just want to watch it because, you think, you know, the Vegas Golden Knights have cool looking jerseys? Fuck yeah, do it. You know, anything that gets more eyes onto the sport that we love is an important thing. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you guys sharing your hockey experiences with us. That's very awesome. So, I'm going to do one last thing because I love putting people on the spot. It's my favorite thing to do. And I love talking about music. So I want to go around the horn and I want to hear, what are we? We're kind of into March. Let's go last year. So I'd love to hear, each of you tell me last year what your favorite record was or your favorite single. I know that's heavy. And I know I'm putting you on the spot. So you better have a good answer or else, I don't know what's going to happen.
I got a question about it. Is it our favorite record that released last year or what we were jamming last year?
Oh, boy. What do we think, Mikey?
Either one works for me, but...
Either one works for me. I like that.
Ask these hard questions that,
I love it, though.
I can't even think of one.
I just want to give you the best answer.
Listen, you go ahead and give me, you know what? Let's just do this. If you could think of a record that came out last year that you loved, awesome. If not, just let me know what you jammed. Let me know what you jammed. That's what I want to know. And this time, we'll start with Maggie Schneider.
And I have an answer. Love that.
Yeah, I love it.
So the band Camino's self-titled record.
Band Camino is great. Yeah.
I think it came out in September. Because my best friend Sophie, and she's our photographer as well. She's the best. My best friend Sophie and we went to see them headline the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. What we didn't know, and they surprised the fans that were there, it was their unofficial album release show. So they played the full record 2 weeks before it came out.
That's
great. So I love them so much. I love that they're like indie rock, but they have country influences and pop punk influences. And I love how versatile that album is. Because it has sad girl anthems and it also has I Want to Shake My Butt in the Club anthems. So definitely would say the band Camino's album.
Great pick. Love that. Let's go Downtain.
All right. So I think the album that I listened to most in 2021 was I have literally my playlist up. I think it was Posthuman. Bring Me the Horizon is actually
okay.
I listened to that record so stupid much in 2021. I know it came out in 2020, and I listened to it in 2020, but I don't know. I tore that one up so much. Yeah, for sure.
Love it.
Parasite Eve, incredible song. Just the songs on it, they're bangers. I love it.
I remember I'm so old. It's crazy to be as old as I am, but I remember Bring Me the Horizon, when they were really strictly a metalcore band, right?
Dude, just heavy as hell.
Yep.
Just shaking the earth.
And but personally, one of the things I love in music so much is when bands evolve. I think evolution in music is so important because, at the end of the day, if you're a professional musician, yes, this is your job and this is what you get paid for this, but it's also artistry, right? So, I mean, to think that someone can write the same music at 18 and then 35 is just beyond me.
Well, and also I feel like Linkin Park said this best because when they were releasing some newer stuff, before Chester passed away, they talked about, all the hate they were getting because it wasn't the same, what I mean? And they talked about well, do you want to see the same movie over and over?
Yeah,
no,
of course not.
You want it to evolve. You want it to be a different movie, and the same should be for each record. And I totally agree with that. If you want it to be that record, just go listen to that record is essentially what Chester said. And I totally agree with that 100%. I think evolution in music is absolutely important.
Crucial. Absolutely crucial. All right, Alex, number 2. I love your ears, by the way. I don't think I got to tell you that, but I love them.
Those aren't real.
Oh,
Damn it. I thought they were
Sorry to
sure.
break it to you guys, but those are indeed like fake.
well,
Shut your fucking
Okay.
face. But no, I think I got 3. I'm gonna cheat.
Cool.
Weird by Youngblood. I demolished that.
I forgot about that one.
It's so damn good.
Good.
Like Freak Show, that song has the greatest key change of any song ever written. I will fight people over this. Then after that, I got really heavy into Montero by Lil Nas X. That whole album, I just got, it's a vibe. And then I went back to my emo boy, punk roots and listened the hell out of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket by Blink-182.
There it is.
I forgot how good that album is.
So good. So
It's like
good.
that one, and I think their self-titled album are possibly my favorite records. Top five.
And if you want to talk about, evolving, right? I mean, like the evolution that Blink-182 underwent between Take Off Your Pants and Jacket and the self-titled record is like peak what bands should do. It's like, okay, we gave you this, we gave you Dude Ranch. Great. We gave you Enema. Great. We gave you Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Great. Here's the Untitled record. And a lot of people listen to that and were like, what? Like, I wanted more boobs and farts and peepees and caca. And like, and you did, and what you got instead was you got this like unbelievably hauntingly beautiful song with Robert Smith from The Cure. And it's like that.
Oh yeah.
Don't ever be afraid of just doing what the shit you want to do. And that record stuck with me and still to this day sticks with me for what that was. Tremendous.
So
Tremendous.
yeah, I've got a guitar that Maggie graciously gifted me a while back.
There you go.
And on it, I found online somebody took the vinyl of Weezer's The Blue Album and made it into a pick guard.
Awesome.
So that was now the Weezer guitar. I've named it Rivers.
Love that.
And I've got another Strat that I'm going to completely demolish and rebuild and make it a Blink-182 guitar.
Love
and I'm going to
that.
theme it all around the self-titled album because
incredible.
the spray paint theme, the color scheme is amazing.
Color scheme is great.
But also, can we talk about how good the Mark, Tom, and Travis Show album was, the live album?
So
I had it all their banter memorized as a 15-year-old.
It was so good. It was so good, but it hurt my soul to hear that like most of Tom's vocal parts had to be like overdubbed because he was so bad live.
As an adult now, like looking back on that, listening to him like normally live, I'm like, you're a liar, sir.
Yeah,
you lied to me.
Well, I saw Tom with Angels and Airwaves in 2019, and he did a good job. I mean, he wasn't perfect, but I mean, he didn't do terrible.
Listen, like
you're struggling right there.
Musicians.
It wasn't terrible.
Look, musicians get the opportunity to get better. I'll tell this story until I'm blue in the face, but I saw the Wonder Years in like 2011, and they were like probably the worst band I had ever seen. Dan couldn't hit a note to save his life. The band were sloppy. They were terrible. All over the place. And I think it was actually this like show and like it was like famed. They got like 4 or 5 songs into their set and Dan blew his voice out and just left, walked off stage. And
oh my God.
But just to show you how much time can change people is I just saw the Wonder Years at the House of Blues in Orlando. They were on their tour for the Upsides and Suburbia. And when I tell you that not a note was out of place, not a pitch was off, not a note was out of place, and still put on an incredible show. Dan's jumping around like a maniac and sounds identical to what he sounds like on record.
That's great.
Just like,
I noticed that. I noticed them like totally changing like that when like Sister Cities came out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, dude.
Yeah.
Like they like totally became like this different band. I mean, a bit before that too, but like yeah. Around then is when I really noticed it for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you have to do, like, because again, like we discussed, as much as it is being an artist, it's also your day job, right? So if if you're not taking care of your voice, if you're not, doing the right things, I mean, it's not going to be your day job for much longer, because eventually people are going to be like, I'd rather listen to the record, right?
It's hard for people who aren't vocalists or aren't musicians in general to understand, like, as a singer, my body is my instrument, right? Like, I have to keep myself healthy in order to do my job.
Of course.
And so, like, being on the road for 11 days, like, I was making sure that I had plenty of water. I have what I call my vape, because all of these boys vape, but I have like a personal humidifier that I use.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so like totally can relate to that. But if you do all those things, then you're gonna have a great show, and
I agree.
Just taking the precaution.
Absolutely. All right, we got two more. Let's do Jeremy first.
All right. So most listened to last year, anything Frank Ocean.
Love Frank
Ocean. Like, yeah. So like my entire like Spotify rap was literally all nothing but Frank Ocean songs. But as a new song that came out last year, going to like an R&B route, Lolo Zouai is one of my favorite artists. She's French, Arabic, and American, and she like combines all those languages.
Awesome.
Which is insane. Like, it's very, very unique.
Awesome.
But she released a song called Galopette, which is a French dancing term. But that like really went back to like French roots for her. It sounds like it starts out almost like 60s, like almost jazz type. Like beat at the beginning, but it goes to R&B after. But it's really cool. If nobody's ever heard of them, you should definitely check out Lolo Zouai.
Yeah, I've never heard of them. I'm definitely gonna check that out. That's really cool. Yeah. And then last we got our buddy Ari. And before I let Ari tell me what his favorite record is, I do have to let him know that one of my good buddies who has been on this show, who's actually one of the reasons that we've got some cool stuff going on in Florida. His name is Justin, and he's in Out of Time, great band. But he got me a job in recruiting. So he wants me to tell you, Ari, to check your LinkedIn because he's trying. He said, and I quote, "Tell Ari that we've got a bunch of great front end opportunities that he'd be interested in."
Oh my god!
So,
oh my god!
I did not agree to this. We're not using our podcast to recruit.
Check your LinkedIn, man.
It haunts me. It's hilarious. My current CEO is going to see this. But
have at it, man. Let me know.
So I would say my favorite record of last year would be Demi Devil by Ashnikko.
Yeah,
because it was just so weird, and it was
super weird. Ashnikko is so weird, man. But and that's and you know the cool thing about that is like, you know, we've talked about it before on our podcast, how TikTok is like blasting things. It's like when you got like people like Doja Cat and Ashnikko and like all of these artists who like use TikTok as the platform to get them into top 40. Like it blows my mind. And
crazy.
But I think that there's a brilliance to that because, you know, TikTok is, you know, like Gen Z incarnate, right? And it's like you have to understand. And I mean, we try our best, or I shouldn't say we try our best. I should say Mikey tries his best.
So
but
Tom mentioned how old he is. I'm just as old. So like me at 35 trying to figure this out is a struggle. But
actually,
we're trying.
Enough, I talk about this all the time. So I work in a massive marketing team. So one of the things we talk about is like when you're making a product or anything, we're making music. You don't get to determine you don't get to determine your marketing channel. The people do. So wherever they're at, you have to be there. Like it's
absolutely.
That
is 110% true. And but you know, TikTok, it's an incredible platform. especially for people that are looking to seek out like new music, new interests, and all that kind of stuff. So, but Ash Nico, man, and it's funny because my wife got onto Ash Nico because of TikTok.
Yeah.
Now she listens to her and it's a wild thing. So I really appreciate you guys giving me that insight. I always love to hear what kind of drives people and what music has been making people tick. Funny enough, I just felt like I had to mention this. So one of my favorite records of last year, I think it might have came out the year before, but I listened to it ad nauseum, is actually by a band called Gleamer.
Dude, I just saw them.
Dude, they are good. They are good at banding. They are good at it.
Yeah.
But they put out this record called Down Through, and it is so good. It's like a little shoegazy, a little indie, a little emo. But I as soon as I was like, oh, we're going to be talking to Glimmers, I'm like, I should mention Gleamer and see if like you guys could like get into a fight or something.
Right.
Dude, all in. I'm ready for you.
Let me give you that 2-piece with a soda.
Hey, they're one Gleamer. We are plural Glimmers.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. You have more than them. So
yeah,
but
that
awesome. But guys, listen, thank you so much for being here with us. Really, really awesome to get to know you guys. Really, really awesome to kind of hear a little bit more about what's to come. Really excited for the new music. Really excited for what comes visually with this new music, because I know you guys worked your tails off on the previous EP and making sure it was presented in a certain way. So looking towards how it's going to be presented this time. Very, very excited for, like I said, I appreciate you guys humoring us and having a little bit of chat about hockey. It's something that we're super passionate about, but we're also passionate about, great music and great people, of which you guys are giving us both. You guys are great people and you guys are giving us great music. So we appreciate you. At this point, I always like to kind of look up to my counterpart here and see if he has anything to say.
I just have one kind of I don't know if it's necessarily a question, but like I think back to in the 90s, when Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston were like top of the world, like killing it. Dude. And like whenever a vocalist like was trying to do like a cover of a Whitney song, a Mariah song, and they were just like, no, you don't touch that. You don't touch that. But like in our world, I feel like that's Paramore, and you guys are covering Paramore. Like, tell me, like, what was going through your mind, like, when you did that? Were you like, are people going to accept this, embrace this, or are they going to be like, no, you don't touch Paramore? Like, I feel like they're at that level in our scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for us, like when we choose covers, and one that we do now, which is probably my favorite that we've done, is Bad Romance by Lady Gaga.
Great song.
So in general, like we cover the songs that we're really passionate about and the ones that influence us. And so obviously, I remember watching, and it's like one specific festival that they played, but I think it was Leeds Festival in Europe. And that set just really inspired me as a performer and as a singer. And so through my background, I studied vocals in musical theater and like got my start there. But then they were one of the first bands, in addition to Lady Gaga and Demi Lovato and all of those. Wow, Alex. Oh, I just noticed Jeremy too.
It sucked so much because I was so interested in what you were saying.
It's okay.
And my man's just drinking wine. Look at your LinkedIn. Stop drinking wine.
They're stealing my thunder.
Jeremy, I've been done with mine for like 5 minutes.
I have a straw. Okay.
Look at you.
She's drinking White Claw.
I am so proud of you guys. That was just an ultimate display of togetherness. You drank a whole ass boot. Good for you guys, man.
I love it.
I didn't mean to
my boot home.
Maggie.
But I do want to say one thing, though. I do want to say one thing.
Please
I just want to say one thing to clear the air, because there's a thing going around, and like people do not believe me when I say this. I am allergic to Bush's beans.
To Bush's beans?
I'm putting that out there just so everybody totally knows. Anybody
So-
watching?
So you're saying like Bush's baked beans is what you're allergic to? Okay,
Oh,
so let's you know what? Let's take a minute or two to just break this down because
Unpack it,
we
please.
might as well. So Bush's baked beans. So
Yeah.
okay, all right. So are you like could you eat like a scoop of like pinto or black beans? Like let's say you
Yeah.
went to Chipotle,
Yeah.
you could. Okay. So
Yeah.
obviously whatever you're allergic to is whatever is like in the sauce.
And the
Yes.
sauce. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, and like other brands of baked
One could
beans,
say he gets lost in the
Dude.
sauce.
it's not a problem, dude. It's
like that.
Bush's.
interesting. Now here's something that I'm gonna just pull out of my mind here.
Yeah, let's see.
How do you do with Chinese food?
I love it.
Yeah, so like doesn't bother you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Because here I am thinking like maybe you're allergic to MSG because a lot of those like canned like foods and all that kind of stuff, they put that in there as like a flavor enhancer
Right.
preserver.
And I can drink Bush the beer.
Okay, good.
You're
Yeah.
just
And
not
that's
a
the-
fan of Bushes.
And that's the correct way to pronounce that also.
Oh, of course. It's
Just
the
so
only
We
you
one.
know.
also went to the
That's it.
Bean in Chicago. He got nervous.
He was
I was
nervous.
totally nervous in
Oh.
Chicago. Felt like I was gonna
One
break
thing,
knives.
one thing we
I had
haven't
my
tried
EpiPen
though.
ready and everything.
One thing we haven't tried though is like you know how like some people they like get allergic reactions like with peanuts and like
Yes.
peanut butter
Yeah.
Mhm.
being close to it. Like
Mm.
I also want to see if like if we had a can if it got close enough if he'd have a reaction, but I also don't want to figure this out.
I don't think
I have an
allergic to
EpiPen.
can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well,
you fried beans, all in.
So like
I'm
like,
a bean kind of guy.
if we put a can near your body, like unopened can, do we think that it would elicit some sort of bodily response?
I don't know. I'm
Well-
down to try. For the thrill.
It's
For
an
the
air
thrill,
raid.
yeah.
For-
There is a thrilling thing about like walking down the aisles of the supermarket and not knowing what's going to affect your body. I think that's a real kind of thrill seeker thing. Like some people some people like to base jump and some people like to jump out of planes. And you are the kind of person that walks past beans and you just
No,
don't
I
know.
like
man.
beans. It's just bushes, dude. I swear, it's just
well,
bushes.
Listen,
What if it was a shrub? What if it was a tree?
that's a good point.
So on 4th of
Flowered
July,
beans?
you just have like a panic attack walking into like Publix and
Like, you
seeing
just
the
see
wall
dad-
of bushes.
You see
Sad.
dads everywhere with their very clean New Balance shoes, and you just start a cold sweat.
Yeah, that's true.
I do.
See,
Tom
You-
also wears those.
I wear Nike Air Monarchs because I have
Yeah.
club
Nice.
feet and they're so wide and they're the only thing that fits my wide feet.
Dude,
And
you
I
want to go
think
to the
that's-
club later?
I would love to go to the club. That's my favorite thing to do. I actually have like 4 pairs of them. Like I always buy them whenever they're BOGOs because when it's a BOGO, it's BOGO. I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
gotta do what
you
you gotta do.
gotta hop on it.
I-
Good deals.
Dude, I had a BOGO stick when I was a kid. I got hurt.
Buy one, get one stick. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been Glimmers.
Perfect.
So, Alex, Jeremy, Maggie, Ari, thank you so much for doing this with us. This was a blast. This was so much fun. Thank you for keeping me laughing and engaged. We're super excited to see what is on the horizon for Glimmers in 2022. And also, there might be something going on in June. I can't really say too much about it, but there's maybe a rumor or something that you're going to be somewhere doing a thing. We'll talk about it later.
Who
But
knows?
really excited for that thing.
Yeah.
Did you get that thing I sent you?
Oh yes.
That thing.
Oh yes. Very excited.
Awesome. Thank you again so much, guys. Really excited. And you guys have a great rest of your night. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you.
Peace.
See you
Thank you,
guys.
good